All right. Hey, everyone. I'm back. I'm Dr. Ken Kunz from New Jersey Literacy Association, and I'm here for our NJLA story time. I just want to say that I hope everybody's having a great day. I woke up this morning, and when I looked at the calendar, I thought this was awesome. It says that for Tuesday, April 14th, that today is Look Up at the Sky Day. And I thought that was really cool because yesterday it was so rainy and windy out. Man, were those winds strong. But today it's beautiful and we've got the sun out. And I want to thank you for joining me for our read aloud this morning. Just to give you an update, what's really cool is that so far there have been over 1,400 students from around New Jersey who've participated in our story time. And so I just want to give a shout out and say thank you for joining us because it's been a really, really great project. Um, I also want to thank the Raycraft series because, as you notice, this label that appears on all of our books, they've allowed us to do our read alouds. And while we're sort of coming close to the end of our Raycraft book series, we just want to thank them for really letting us launch this project in New Jersey and keep it going for a while now. Whether you're on spring break this week, or maybe you were on spring break last week, or maybe you're not getting a spring break, it doesn't matter. You can always come back to our YouTube channel, watch our videos, and of course, email us. So many of you have reached out on njliteracy@gmail.com to share us the activities that you've been doing at home and to share us different things that you've been reading. And that's been really exciting for us. So continue to do that because all of our projects are always live. Next Wednesday, which is really cool, April 22nd, it's Earth Day if you didn't know. And next week, one of our New Jersey authors, his name is Artie Knapp, he's given us permission to read some of his Earth Day books. And so we're going to have a special live lesson next Wednesday. I'll be doing an Earth Day activity with you. And then we also have some prizes that we can send you in the mail to celebrate Earth Day at home yourself. Also, tomorrow, we have as one of our readers, Miss Archibald from Plainfield Public Schools, who's going to be reading to you again, and she's really excited to be back here. And then, of course, we'll also have more books on the way, thanks to some of the other publishing companies who've given permission to share read alouds during this crisis. So Scholastic Education is also allowing us to work with you and to read aloud across New Jersey. Before we get started with our book today, I want to give a shout out to Miss Diaz. Miss Diaz is from Washington School in Union, New Jersey, right here in the center of our state. And her second graders have been tuning into our story time. So I just want to say hey to our Washington School second graders and thank you for joining us. So our daily affirmation for today is to take a second to really breathe in joy and to breathe out a smile. So on this National Look Up at the Sky Day, you could take a moment to just kind of breathe in some joy through your nose and breathe out a smile. So as you join us for our read aloud today, definitely smile, and we hope that you enjoy this awesome text. So today's text is called Max and the Talent Show. Like I said, it's a Raycraft book, and it's written by Kyle Lukoff. Kyle actually lives over in Brooklyn, not far from New Jersey. So Kyle is a pretty local author. This book is also illustrated by Luciano Lozano. And you'll really like a lot of the illustrations that are in this book. So we know that Kyle, as the author, is the person who writes the words. And Luciano, as the illustrator, is the person who draws the pictures. Before we dive into the book, we're going to take a minute just to become word nerds because there are two vocabulary words that are really important to understanding this read aloud. The first one, my favorite, I'm going to say it and you can repeat it. My turn, talent, your turn. My turn. I'm going to clap the syllables in talent. Talent, your turn. When you clap them out, how many syllables was that? You said two, you're absolutely right. If you want to talk to me about the word talent, talent means that you have a natural skill, or it's also something that you're really good at. And so I have a surprise for you at the end of our read aloud today, but I'm going to try to connect you with one of my talents, or a talent that I used to be better at. The other vocabulary word is assistant. My turn, assistant, your turn. Go ahead and say it. Great. Let's clap out the syllables in assistant. My turn. Assistant. Your turn. Those three syllables, right? An assistant is a person who assists or really helps another person with their business or some kind of task or something that they're working on. And so we're going to look in the story today to see how these words play out in our read aloud. What's happening with talent and what's happening with assistant. So as we get started today, I have an activity that I like to do called a story impression. And we haven't done this before. It's when you take some clues from the story that are based on the characters, the setting, and the events, and you think about what might actually happen in that story. So I've created a little bit of a chain for you. I'm just going to move over so I could show you. And I have some clues here. My first clue is the word friend. We see Stephen, play, make up stories, and talent show. I'm going to stop right there just for a minute. And I want you to think about that. Whoever you're with right now, or whoever you're talking to, maybe you're by yourself and you have a post-it note near you. I want you to think about that. Friend, Stephen, play, make up stories, and talent show. What do you think is going to happen in this story? What's your impression? Okay, they could end up having a talent show or maybe dressing up because you were looking at the cover of the text. Let's find out. I have some more information for you to be able to think about your impression of the story. Someone says, I'll be your assistant. He doesn't have a plan. Movie star. Stage. Everyone is still clapping. What do you think is going to happen now? There's a lot going on with this story, right? I'll be your assistant. Is someone going to help someone? Are they going to help them become a movie star? Does a famous movie star appear in this text? Everyone seems to be clapping, so I'm guessing that there's a happy ending to this story. Are you ready to find out with me? Let's jump in. This story is called Max and the Talent Show. We have our front cover, our back cover, and our spine, and we're going to jump right in. Chapter 1. My name is Max. I love to read. My favorite books are comic books. I also like funny books. Sometimes I read stories about magic or adventure. I don't like sad books. I have a friend named Stephen. He likes to make up his own stories. He always has a lot of ideas. Sometimes he gets ideas from books. Other times, the ideas come from his head. Stephen makes me play dress up with him. He gives me clothes that match his stories. Once, I was a pirate. Another time, I was a shark. Sometimes he wants me to put on a dress. I used to wear dresses, but now I don't, so I always say no. When I play with other friends, we run races, and jump rope, and climb trees. But when I play with Stephen, he wants to make up stories. So he tells stories as we play. He will say that a train is chasing us. We run away as fast as we can. Or he will say that we are crossing a volcano. We hop and jump across the lake of fire. If we climb a tree, Stephen will say we are in outer space. We talk to aliens on the moon. Stephen and I go on a lot of adventures. They have a really good imagination, the two of them together. Chapter 2. There's another big difference between me and Stephen. He loves to be the center of things. I don't like being watched. The school talent show is coming up. I don't want to be in it, but I don't want to be left out. Stephen puts his name on the sign-up sheet. I'll be a star, he says. Do you want to be a star too? I think about what I would do. I don't like to sing. I don't dance. I don't play piano, but I do like to help my friends. I'll be your assistant, I tell Stephen. What does an assistant do? It means I help you put on a show. Stephen likes that idea. He loves to put on a show, and he loves to tell me what to do. Maybe he's a little bossy. First, I need to find a dress, says Stephen. His mom drives us to the mall. The people who work at the store think the dress is for me. They don't want to let Stephen try it on, but then he tells them a story. He tells them about a girl in a beautiful dress. She was stolen by goblins. If he can find a dress like hers, it will help him find her. They love the story. Stephen gets to pick his favorite dress. I think it looks like an upside down ice cream cone, but I don't tell Stephen this. Are you going to sing for the talent show? I ask, but Stephen is admiring his gown. Then we go to the shoe store. The shoe salesman doesn't like my stompy boots, and he tells Stephen not to try on high heels. But Stephen tells him a story about his grandmother. He says she was the most famous actress in the world. He says that her last wish was to find the shoes she wore in her first movie. Taken away by his words, the salesman gives Stephen a pair of shoes. They have heels that click on the floor. Are you going to dance in the talent show? I ask. Stephen doesn't answer. He is listening to the shoes as they click. So we see Stephen is picking out different clothing and different items to wear, but we don't really know what Stephen is planning for this talent show. We just know that Max is kind of there to help or assist. Stephen tells a story to find the perfect cape and a story for the perfect tiara. Are you going to play the piano? I ask. I don't even know if he plays the piano. But Stephen doesn't hear me. He tilts the tiara so it just sits so. It glitters in the light. I wonder what he's going to do for the talent show. We still don't really know. Chapter 3. It's the night of the talent show. I help Stephen zip up his ice cream dress. He slips his feet into the clicking heels. I tie the cape around his neck. He places the tiara on his head just so. What is your act? I ask. Stephen doesn't answer. He's smiling at himself in the mirror. The teacher in charge calls kids by name. One recites a poem. I don't understand it. Another does splits and cartwheels. It looks very hard. Someone plays the violin. It sounds like two cats fighting. I don't know what my job is now. Stephen doesn't say he needs help. When his name is called, he clicks onto the stage. What are you doing tonight, young man? The teacher asks. Stephen stares at the audience. He looks nervous and surprised. And that's when I know he didn't choose a song. He didn't learn a dance. He didn't bring an instrument. He doesn't have a plan. But he picked me to be his assistant. What is my friend good at? I think, and then I know. Stephen, I whisper loudly, tell them the story. Will he know what I mean? He hears me. Stephen stands up straight. He doesn't look scared anymore. In a strong voice, he says, I will tell you a story. I will tell you a story of a stolen child. I will tell you about a movie star. I will tell you about a lost treasure and a found kingdom. And he does. His voice fills the room. At the end, they live happily ever after. My ears fill with the thunder of hands clapping. Stephen bows. He walks off the stage. His tiara glitters in the light. His cape flows behind him. His heels click on the floor. He hugs me tight. Then he pulls me out onto the stage. Everyone is still clapping. He bows again. He makes me bow with him. Everyone is looking at me too. It feels okay, but I'm glad when we walk off the stage again. I couldn't have done that without you, he says. I know, I tell him. That's why I'm your assistant. The end. So I have an activity that I want to just share with you. A couple things that I jotted down on my little chart behind me is that one of the things that we can do when we're reading is, different kinds of texts have different characters. And so If characters were always the same, reading would be kind of boring. So readers can appreciate characters' differences in a text. And we have two different characters, and they really actually are pretty different in this story. I'm going to start with our first character. I'm going to put Max over here. So if I were to give a trait or describe the way Max is in the story, I'm going to put over here that Max is a loyal friend. Loyal means that you always stick by someone's side. And I think that's really important because in this text, Max is always really loyal to Stephen as a friend. Now over here, I have a little question. Does that change? Think about that. Is Max loyal at the beginning of the story and still loyal at the end of the story? If you said yes, you're absolutely right. I'm going to put a little Y over there for yes, because Max is absolutely loyal throughout the story. Now I just want to flip ahead for a second to our buddy Stephen in the story. Stephen is also a character, right? And if you're going to give the trait that I decided to give Stephen, and there's so many that you could come up with, is outgoing. Outgoing means that you like to be social or maybe even the center of attention. And I would say that Stephen is definitely outgoing. He likes to be on stage, he likes to dress up. He's a different kind of character in terms of wanting to be out there. And Max is a little more shy than that. Now let's think. Does Stephen change? Is Stephen outgoing throughout the whole story? If you said no, you're absolutely right. When we get to the day of the talent show, even though Stephen was outgoing in the rest of the story, he really needs the help of Max, his loyal friend, to get the confidence to tell the story on stage because he didn't have anything ready to go. So just remember, as good readers, we can always pay attention and appreciate the characters' differences in any of the stories that we're reading. So I want to go back to this cool vocabulary word. Yeah, I was telling you about the word talent, which means that you have a skill or something that you're really good at. Now, in our story, Max is really good at being an assistant, whereas Stephen is really good about being on stage in front of people. So this was reminding me of when I was in third grade, and one of my talents when I was in school was learning how to play the saxophone. So I promise you, I'm still not good at it. But yesterday, I went up in the attic and I found my saxophone that I've had since third grade. And I started playing it because I thought maybe I could have that talent come back. And man, you should have seen it. The dog started barking, then he was howling, and he was almost like it was almost like he was telling me to stop playing the saxophone. And so I'm going to do it anyway. So if you hear him barking or howling, it's because I'm not so good at this like I used to be. But I want to see if you recognize this song. If you do recognize this song, I want you to send us an email at njliteracy@gmail.com and tell us what it is. Here we go. I'm going to stop right there. But think about what song that is and send us an email at njliteracy@gmail.com. Also, we want to know what are some of your talents, right? Maybe you're really good at singing or dancing or dressing up or getting on stage, or maybe you're good at being an assistant. We want to know what your talents are. And of course, we know you're spending a lot of time at home reading and writing. And so you've probably had more time to even discover some new talents. You know, I had so much fun getting the saxophone out of the attic and playing. And even though I'm not so good at it anymore, it's just so fun to discover talents and to think about things that you're good at. So email us your talents, njliteracy@gmail.com. We hope that you have an amazing week, and we hope that you'll come back tomorrow for Miss Archibald's Read Aloud. And then also next Wednesday, join me on April 22nd for our Earth Day Read Aloud activity. Thanks everyone, and have a great week. Bye.